Well, that last review took a lot longer than anticipated, didn't it? I did not mean to make that into like a 20, 30 minute plus review, but it ended up being that way because I talked about every single bullet point in more detail than I probably should have, so I apologize for that. That is 100% my fault, and I will try to refrain from doing that in the future so I can keep these watchable. Because so far, my previous one only has 9 views. Yeah, not very good in terms of the YouTube algorithm. So, I'm going to try to keep these shorter from here on out. Sorry for the first one being so long, but between the intro, explaining everything, and then doing the review, not to mention it being 5 episodes long, it was still a lot to talk about. So, I apologize for that. And I'll try to do these a lot shorter format so that they're actually watchable for you guys, and I'm not just rambling on and on with barely anyone watching. Anyway, with all that said and done, let's get straight into the second arc of Demon Slayer, shall we? Kidnapper's Bog. What's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Music Station, which is for anything and everything, including Demon Slayers, just slaying demons to save the world, as well as TV and movies. Still working on the tagline, please excuse me. I'm your host, Jackson Small. Welcome back to Slayer-Tember. Let's talk about episodes 6 and 7 of Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba with the Kidnapper's Bog arc. And this is technically a filler arc, and technically it shouldn't even be called an arc at all, because it's only 2 episodes long. But the Wikia calls it an arc, everything I've seen online still calls it an arc, so screw it, we're going to call it an arc. Not to mention, there's technically arcs of the filler in Dragon Ball is technically arcs as well, and I didn't cover them because they're filler. But this one, it's not really filler per se, as it is more so just about Tanjiro battling his first demon as an official demon slayer after passing final selection. So, not as much happens this time because it's only 2 episodes long, but there's still a good bit, so let's dive right in, shall we? Starting with episode 6, Tanjiro puts on his new outfit under his green kimono, and Urukadaki explains the outfit's fabric, which is made to protect him from the claws and nails of lower-ranked demons. And then he also gives him a wooden box to carry Nezuko around instead of a basket. That way, she has much more protection away from the devastating sunlight. Then Tanjiro sets off on his first mission, arriving in Northwest Town, which is a place where young girls have been going missing lately, and everyone believes that it's demons, so this crow, sent by whoever is the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, sends Tanjiro out to investigate because he's the Slayer that's nearest to the location. So Tanjiro puts Nezuko in her new little box and carries her with him all the way to Northwest Town. And there he speaks with Kazumi, who is the one that was walking with the previous girl that got kidnapped, because that girl was his fiancée. Even though, according to the dub, she was 16. I'm not going to question that because I don't know Japanese culture that well, so please excuse me. I'm not going to judge on that. But he speaks with Kazumi, and he gathers intel on how to find the demon behind everything. Then after he finds that, once he has that intel, he uses his sense of smell, and he finds the swamp demons and saves a girl from them later that night, where we actually see this young girl go all the way to her bedroom, and it looks like she's about to go to sleep, and this demon is able to teleport around through this little puddle of swamp that leads into this swamp underground. And then the demon's able to get under the bed, surrounds the bed, grabs the girl, pulls her under, and starts to run away. But unfortunately for the demon, that acted like an immediate beacon to Tanjiro because he has such an acute sense of smell. And he's able to find the demon, then he dives in, he saves the girl, and the battle begins. Tanjiro first uses water-breathing Waterfall Basin, but only causes minor damage because he missed the thread. And then after that, there's a flashback where Urokodaki explains that there might be one demon who knows how to transform Nezuko back into a human, known as Muzan. And we're going to learn more about him in the Akasuka arc. So that's for tomorrow. This is for now. Going back to current time now, Tanjiro then uses water-breathing water wheel to save Kazumi, cutting off the arms of the demon, but once again he missed the point to, land a killing blow. Not to mention, since he's busy trying to defend Kazumi, who's also holding this unconscious girl that Tanjiro just saved, he can't really go all out in battle and put all his focus into his swings. So he can't really hit at 100% capacity, which is definitely kneecapping him a bit. So, Tanjiro continues to battle the swamp demons for a little bit, and then right as his blind spot's about to be exposed and this demon's about to puncture his eyeball, out comes Nezuko, who literally kicks the demon in the head so hard that it spins around and twists the ever-living hell out of its neck. For some reason, Nezuko really has a thing of kicking demons in the head and it becoming fatal because of it. But somehow, because they're demons, they're able to survive it. Then, in a flashback to end episode 6, it is shown that Urokodaki did a little hypnotic suggestion on Nezuko during her 2-year slumber while Tanjiro was training for final selection, to teach her that humans are family and that demons are enemy. Pretty much confirming that she's going to be attacking demons only and has no craving for human flesh at all. Again, adding more interesting layers to her character. And then that ends episode 6. Then moving on to episode 7, Tanjiro then descends into this underground swamp, leaving Nezuko to protect Kazumi on her own, as Tanjiro realizes that Nezuko can defend herself and that she is a lot stronger than she used to be because she is a demon. So Tanjiro puts more trust into Nezuko, and that makes him feel better about leaving her behind to battle these demons. He then battles the demons in their own territory in this underground swamp, and they think that they have the advantage because he can't move as fast, according to them. But that's when Tanjiro reveals that this air is nowhere near as thin as it was on Mount Sakiri, where he was doing all his training. So, of course, it has no effect on him, and they gravely underestimated him. Which then leads to him using water-breathing whirlpool and cuts the demons not just in half, but to absolute, complete, and utter shreds. I was surprised by the brutality of this one water vortex slash. It was pretty freaking cool. Then while this is happening, Nezuko is battling the main demon of the 3. I mean, technically they're all copies of the same demon, but I'm just calling them individual for the sake of simplicity. And at first she's doing really good and kicking the ever-living shit out of it, but then she starts becoming predictable in her form because she doesn't know how to actually fight. So she takes a deep gash across her forehead, and right when she's about to get punctured through the face, that's when Tanjiro comes up, cuts both the demon's arms off, and then he interrogates it to find intel on Muzan and where he could be. But this demon is so terrified to even speak his name that it will not even, it won't speak. It literally says that it cannot tell him, as it continuously cries out in fear. And Tanjiro, of course, smells this fear and feels a little bit of sympathy. That is until the demon decides to do the dumbest thing possible, regenerating its arms and going after Tanjiro again, leaving to Tanjiro slashing off its arms and its head, killing it off for good. Then Tanjiro apologizes to Kazumi because the demon, before dying, admitted that he ended up eating his fiancée. So, yeah, Tanjiro was too late to save the girl, which it's unfortunate, but sadly a bit realistic that not everyone can be saved. Or at least somewhat realistic. Obviously, it's not the story all the time, but you know what I mean. Give me a break, it's 9:30 at night, for flying hell's sake. yeah, he apologizes to Kazumi and urges him to go on with his life despite losing his loved one. Then Tanjiro waves goodbye to Kazumi, leaving him to mourn his lost love. And right as he's leaving, Tanjiro is immediately ordered by another crow straight to Asakusa in Tokyo next to hunt another demon. So he goes straight there with Nezuko, and Nezuko is out of her box this time, and she's sleepwalking. I guess they need some comedic bit, not to mention have her outside of her box. I don't know. I honestly don't know why she's sleepwalking. But Tanjiro is then blinded by all the lights of the city and is overwhelmed by the crowd, causing him to have to fight through this crowd expeditiously to actually find a quiet place at this noodle shop where he gets some noodles. And right when he's about to eat his food, he immediately drops it because he smells a very strong demon. He leaves Nezuko behind because, like it already established earlier in this episode, he trusts her enough to be out on her own. And he goes straight to where the smell of this demon is, and this is where he ends up finding Muzan, dressed like Michael Jackson for some reason. Yeah, I'm sorry, I know that it's an overplayed joke, but it's too obvious. Like, they literally made Muzan's first form look like Michael Jackson. Like, the white hat, the white suit, and everything. It could not have been a coincidence. However, Tanjiro is unable to act on Muzan due to both the crowd that's surrounding them, causing a scene, because he doesn't want to cause a scene, and Muzan having a human family. Yeah, that in itself is a bit surprising, because he's literally hiding in plain sight. Then, as Muzan's talking to Tanjiro, Muzan then slits the throat of a civilian, turning them into a demon to distract Tanjiro, and then this demon eats his wife with Tanjiro stuck in the crowd, unable to do anything, ending both Episode 7 and the Kidnapper's Bog arc. And technically starting the Asakusa arc, but I don't know. The Asakusa arc. But I'm trying to segment this episode by episode, so I'm calling Episode 7 just the end of the Kidnapper's Bog, with a scene at the end that leads into the Asakusa arc. Just to make that a little bit more clear. But yeah, that is all the bullet points. Like I said, it's a lot shorter this time because it's only 2 episodes rather than 5. So let's get straight into my final thoughts, and we will end it off there. Following his passage of the final selection and becoming an official member of the Demon Slayer Corps, Tanjiro Kamada is immediately sent off to Northwest Town to track down a demon that has been stalking and killing young girls. However, what he doesn't know is that this particular demon has blood art abilities, making it easier said than done to slay it. I mean, he was made aware of blood art abilities, but he didn't know that this particular demon had one. So, this is his first encounter with one that does have blood art abilities that make them harder to kill. While it shouldn't technically be counted as an arc/saga due to only being 2 episodes long, it's still a great little side adventure that perfectly acts as a bridge between the last saga and the upcoming Asakusa saga, and is still loaded with great moments left and right. Tanjiro's first battle as a Slayer, the Swamp Demon's unique abilities, seeing 2 more forms of water breathing, Nezuko protecting humans instead of killing them due to Urokodaki's hypnotic suggestions from her 2-year slumber during Tanjiro's training, and of course, most importantly of all, the introduction of the maliciously horrific and terrifying Muzan. Trust me, this dude is one scary son of a bitch, as you're gonna find out very soon. Yes, it is very short, and the pacing during the action is a bit inconsistent. Like, the first parts of the action are paced really well, but then in the later half, it starts getting a little bit too exposition heavy. Not to the point of ruining the experience, but just to the point of, overstaying its welcome a little. But regardless, this is a great follow-up to the first saga that is more than worth your time, and if you love Demon Slayer, I'm pretty sure you're going to love this arc if you haven't seen it already. So, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching. Final verdict for the Kidnapper's Bog arc of Demon Slayer is going to be an 8 out of 10. It's great. Yes, it's not quite as great as the first one, though to be fair, it's also not really a fair comparison because this is only 2 episodes, and the previous saga was 5 episodes. So putting a 2-episode arc against a 5-episode arc isn't entirely fair. But as it is, this is still a great arc for the series, and it's leading straight into the Asakusa arc, which is what we're going to talk about next. And this one's also pretty short because it's only 3 episodes long. Yeah, an interesting thing about Demon Slayer that I learned while I was doing research is that each saga is no more than 10 episodes at max. So this will be a very easy discussion day after day. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time when we tackle the Asakusa arc. Until then, keep slaying, and I'll see you next time.